All right, let's talk about a secret weapon for learning: quizzes. And no, not the kind that give you anxiety. We're going to look at how you can use quizzes as a powerful tool to really, truly understand things, way beyond just memorizing facts for a test.
You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. You spend hours reading a chapter, your highlighter runs out of ink, you recognize all the words, but then someone asks you to explain it, and crickets. That gap between recognizing something and really getting it, that's what we're going to close today.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll see why quizzes blow digital flashcards out of the water for true understanding. Then, we'll get into the actual science behind why testing works so well. After that, we'll walk through how to do it step by step. And finally, I'll give you a killer workflow, a loop, to turn those weak spots into your strongest points.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about flashcards. Look, we all love them, they have their place, but what they do is fundamentally different from what a good quiz is designed to do for your brain.
Think of it this way. Flashcards help you make the bricks. They're perfect for hammering in those individual facts. A single definition, one important date, you're just collecting your materials. But a quiz is like the blueprint. It checks if you can actually build the house. Can you see how that definition connects to this theory over here? It tests whether you have a solid structure of knowledge or just a messy pile of bricks.
Now this brings us to a really cool, kind of mind-bending idea. What if I told you that one of the absolute best ways to study is to actually take a test? Yeah, you heard that right. The very act of testing is a powerhouse for learning, and it has nothing to do with the grade.
It's a real thing in cognitive science. They call it the testing effect. The basic idea is that trying to pull information out of your brain, that little struggle, is way more effective for building strong memories than just passively rereading the same page again. And here's the best part. It works even when you get the answer wrong, as long as you get feedback afterward.
And this is where the real magic happens. Quizzing gives you a superpower called metacognition. It's just a fancy word for knowing what you don't know. A good quiz is like a flashlight in a dark room. It shows you exactly where the gaps are. It yanks you out of that cozy but really dangerous feeling of, oh yeah, I've seen that before, and makes you face what you truly understand versus what you just recognize.
All right, that's enough of the why. Let's get our hands dirty and talk about the how. How do we actually put this into practice? It's actually super straightforward.
The process is really simple. First, you just select your materials, your notes, a PDF, whatever. But the next step, customization, that's where the power is. You're in the driver's seat. Need a really tough 10-question quiz on just one specific topic? You got it. Gearing up for a big exam? Tell it to make a 50-question quiz that covers everything. You get to tailor it exactly to what you need to learn right now.
Okay, I want you to just pause and really let this sink in, because this is a total mindset shift. We've been trained our whole lives to think that getting an answer wrong is a failure. It's not. In this system, a mistake is a gift. It's a bright, flashing arrow pointing you exactly where you need to focus. It's a clue. And this is how you cash in on that gift. You don't just look at your score and move on. You have to dig into the why. Any good quizzing tool will have an explain feature. It doesn't just show you the right answer, it explains why it's right. And just as important, why the other options were wrong. It might even point you to the exact sentence in your notes. This is the step that makes the learning stick.
Okay, so let's tie this all together into a simple, repeatable system. This is the core strategy, a workflow designed to systematically hunt down and fix any weak spots in your knowledge.
Seriously, take a good look at this, because this is your blueprint. Step 1, take a quiz to get your baseline. Think of it like a diagnostic test. Step 2, wait a day. That's key for memory. Then review only the stuff you got wrong. No wasted time. Step 3, a couple days later, take another quiz on just those topics. This is to check your work. Did you patch the holes? And finally, step 4, a week or two later, do one last quiz to make sure that knowledge is locked in for the long haul.
So this whole process gives you a ton of data. But a number on a screen is useless unless you know what to do with it. So how do you turn a percentage into an actual plan?
So, let's say you do your first quiz on a new subject, and boom, you get a 75%. Is that good? Bad? What does that number actually tell you? Well, it's just the starting point of the story.
This little guide basically gives you your marching orders. If you're hitting above 90%, you've got this. Time to move on or find harder questions. If you're in that 70 to 89 range, like our 75%, you're on the right track, you just have a few small gaps to fill. But if you're below 70%, that's your sign to pause, go back to the source material for a bigger review, and then try again.
But here's the absolute most important thing to remember about any score you get. The goal is not to get a 100 on the first try. The real win, the true sign of learning, is the trend. It's watching your score go from a 65 to an 80, and then to a 95. That's mastery. That's what this is all about.
So let's wrap this up. If you take anything away today, make it these 4 things. 1. Quizzes are for comprehension, not just memorization. 2. Testing is studying. It's an active process. 3. Mistakes aren't failures. They're data points. Use them. And 4. That review and requiz loop is your path to making knowledge stick.
So there you have it. You now have a clear, science-backed strategy to stop just recognizing information and start truly understanding it. So I'll just leave you with this one question. Think about that one topic that's always felt a little fuzzy in the back of your mind. What knowledge gap are you going to go close first?